Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming back to see me again. Welcome back to Nioh. I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys an update before we get the next Nioh update. I know there's still a strong Nioh community out there, and it's really exciting that we're still getting new content. And as far as I know, the next one we get, up until like the Dragon of the North or the Dragon of whatever Japanese name it is that I can't pronounce and I don't remember. Um, that is going to be, I think, the big DLC. Or we might have to pay for that. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anybody say we'd have to pay for it before. But regardless, it looks like Team Nin is paying attention to us and definitely taking into account things that they see during the game, during players' playthroughs of the game. And unfortunately, I mean, I have no bones about this. Like, I'm not thinking like I'll definitely get noticed by them or something like that, or anyone really. Um, but there's a really I just felt compelled to talk about it because this game is, regardless of its shortcomings in certain areas, is a game that you can clearly tell they put time, attention, blood, sweat, and tears into making this. And what I'm seeing online, the behavior of players online is so um, it's disheartening, and it has a lot to do with how the players interact with the game and how they play the game. Basically, online is really upsetting. And basically, what I wanted to do was for anyone who cares about the true technique of the game and learning the ways of combat in the game, I wanted to go ahead and do a series, a quick little one that just tells you about the various weapons in the game and how you can use them. By the way, we also are going to be getting new weapons with the new update, which is pretty cool. They said new weapon categories, so I'm guessing that's a completely different weapon, like, I don't know, scythes or, super long katanas or something. I don't know. We'll see. Regardless of all that bullshit, um, Nioh's online community is in a sad state right now. And what'll happen is you'll get online and you'll get this person who has clearly the biggest thing about Nioh in this day and age is grabbing all of the farming tips off of YouTube and just spam farming and then boosting your stats up ridiculously the way you can sneeze on people and they'll fall apart. And then they grab these weapons that do ridiculous amounts of damage. I'm talking about people can hit an enemy once and do like well over 2,000 damage. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Without just one hit, and they're doing crazy damage. And initially you're like, well, that's just great, isn't it? That's fantastic. They found a way to do that. Well, the problem is what I've noticed is that what people are doing is they're choosing a certain set of skills that they use, and they're just using it over and over and over and over and over again, and they spam the shit out of the NPCs to where the NPCs can't possibly do anything. I wish he wouldn't get up. I wish he'd just sit down and drink. But the NPCs can't possibly do anything, and they don't pose any threat. It's not fun. It's not like dangerous. There's nothing. Shouldn't have drank that Squilliam. He even had a little death rattle. But anyway, they clearly don't try. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily that these people are lacking in skill, because they must have had some to be able to, get to where they got. It's just that they drain all of the fun out of multiplayer co-op. Like, I don't even play online anymore because I'm not kidding you. Every single fucking person I have gotten to play with online has done that exact same thing, and they do ridiculous amounts of fucking damage. And while I'm trying to over here, trying to have a competent fight with a Revenant, they come in and swing a few times, and the Revenant's dead. You know what I'm saying? So there's no more enjoyment at all. There's no threat, there's no technique involved, there's no necessary learning of any patterns. All they do is spam kill the enemies, and there's nothing that the enemies can do about it. You know, except for fucking Bozo, but fuck it, Umi Bozo, that asshole. But then again, that's because his level's full of pitfalls, you know? But anyway, what I wanted to do is to show people that there are plenty of other choices to fighting in this game. And yes, it's longer, yes, it's more dangerous, and yes, you can die during it. But that's the whole point of a fucking game, you know, being challenging and exciting and interesting. And that's the whole point of Nioh's combat. It's supposed to be, you know, life-threatening. If it's not life-threatening, then what the fuck are you playing the game for? Like, I imagine these people playing this game are just going through the motions, just killing things over and fucking over and over for no reason. They're just doing it over and over and over again because they have nothing else to do. Well, how about this? How about you challenge yourself? That's what you should be doing, you know? That's what I do every time I turn this game on. But it's very disheartening to see everybody go in that direction, and especially since we're about to get PvP, like, ugh. Like, first of all, I fucking hate PvP in almost any game ever. But imagine in this game where, you know, you just see people continuously fucking spamming that. The worst offender is the Kusarigama attack, where they kind of dive forward and they swing it around them twice. Well, that attack has no fucking punish frames. And I'll explain what punish frames are. But it has no punish frames, dude. Like, they do it, and then they can dive right back into it, and dive right back into it. And it seems like they have a ridiculous amount of stamina, too. So, whatever. It's just, it's so disheartening. But with this, I want to teach you the true skill behind using the weapons in this game. Because there is so much afforded to you that no one should be doing that. No one should be spamming the shit out of those moves like that. Not that they can't. I'm not saying you can't. You can do what you want. It's your game. But it does drain the shit out of the fun of the game. Anyway, so first and foremost, we're going to start off with the most balanced of the weapons, and the weapon that everybody should start off with, regardless of what you think. The sword is definitely the best starting weapon to go with. Initially, it doesn't have the highest damage. That would go to the hammer. Initially, it doesn't have the best range. That's the Kusarigama. And the spear. The spear is a bit easier to use than the Kusari. And it does not have the best debilitating ability. That goes to the dual swords. But the sword is your basic attack weapon. And it is one that all players should start out with when you start the game. At first, you're just going to be starting with your basic combo, which is a four-hit combo. You do a bunch of slashes like this, and you almost always hit with those. Like, there's some moves in this game where you can miss pretty easily if an enemy is on the ground or whatever, but this will usually get an enemy even if they're like one of those dumbass crawlers, that the dwellers that we have to run into. The sword's got a three stab. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, like, why the fuck are you going through this, you know, commonplace bullshit? Well, I'm doing this because you have to utilize the sword's mainstay. The main power of the sword is parrying. And to utilize that, you have to pay attention to these attacks and learn these movements. Because when you go up against Revenant, when you go up against other human enemies in the game, it will show you how to look for certain movements and see them coming so that you can anticipate the attack and therefore use a parry at the right time. It is true, though, that NPCs oftentimes will not use your particular fight style, but other Revenant will. And remember, although you can choose to raise some Revenant from the dead, there are many not many story missions, but there's many missions in the game where you'll either have a strummer who will raise them from the dead automatically, or based on the setup of the mission, they will automatically attack you because they will already have been raised, or based on how the mission needs to go, they will raise because of the developer's choices. So you're going to need to know the basic attacks of each style, and how mid-stance has combos that are of a good speed and they're of a great distance as well. In fact, mid-stance probably has the best range capability because of the thrust. It keeps you safe, where you can hit from a distance but not go too far in. Whereas with high stance, if you press triangle, you kind of dip forward like that. So if you miss this attack, which is also another great tell when you're fighting a remnant or Revenant, excuse me. I'm thinking of Mass Effect. When you're fighting a Revenant and you see them spin like this, that is a great tell that you know what attack they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So instead of spamming the hell out of your, whatever attack you're going to do when you use the Kasarigama, you will know that, okay, I know that they're going to come down with an overhead slash. And as soon as they're done with that spin and I see the sword behind them, I know to press the button and get ready, because automatically I'll catch them. All right? So I'll show you that later when I raise some Revenants and start catching them in parries. But that's the whole mainstay of the sword. Getting to know its combos is important, like how light stance square attack can go on for the rest of your stamina bar. You don't have to stop attacking until your stamina bar runs out. But low stance triangle actually has an end to its combo. So this is another tell. When an enemy's doing this, you can tell that they're going to, if they do it like this, you can tell that they're probably going to go in for the final slash like that. Now they might not always do it. This is something I don't really like, that sometimes enemies will stop combos. Like you'll see them do this, and instead of going with the poke, they'll just stop like that, or they'll do this, and instead of doing the final poke, they'll just stop. Sometimes that can fuck you up, and sometimes it can get you punished. And unfortunately, that's just a part of the random nature of fighting Revenant in this game. But I digressed. Anyway, the mainstay of the sword is parrying. It's not attacking. It's not using your fancy moves like what's it called? Flash kick? No, it's not called flash kick. What the fuck am I talking about? Where is it? Heaven Flash, right? Yes, Heaven Flash. It's not like using these crazy moves. Heaven Flash is actually a pretty cool move, especially if enemies are low on stamina, because that will knock them in. It does a crazy amount of stamina damage, Heaven Flash. So if an enemy's low on stamina, you can use that to knock them back. Be aware, though, if they're a Revenant, they will not be knocked back by Heaven Flash. You won't usually be able to use Heaven Flash on a Revenant unless you get around them and attack them from behind, because you know what Revenants do a lot? They do this. They block a fucking lot. Usually what you'll be able to do is you'll hit a Revenant once, and you won't be able to hit them a second time because they'll block, but I'll show you that when I fight a Revenant. Anyway, like I was saying, I digressed, but like I was saying, the mainstay of the sword is its parry maneuvers. These two right here, Leaf Glide and Water Shadow. There is another parry maneuver, but all it does is turn you around and get you behind the enemy. It's fucking worthless. So, the main important thing behind all weapons in this game is always going to be your learned skills. So after you go into learn skills and actually learn the skills, and then you set them up, and how you set them up depends on what you want out of that sort of attack. Certain attacks are only available for certain stances. Like Morning Moon, you will only ever be able to do with high stance, but Swallow's Wing you can do with any stance. So what does that mean? It means you always want to have Morning Moon equipped, just so you can have that ability to use when you need to use it. For instance, I can do that, as opposed to here with mid stance, I have Swallow's Wing as a 5th strike. Now, if I ever feel that I need to utilize Swallow's Wing, all I have to do is go into mid stance. If I ever feel that I need to utilize Morning Moon, all I have to do is go into high stance. So when you have skills that can be set to multiple stances, you never want to double up skills unless you absolutely have to. These are the most important. Water Shadow and Haze. I'm sorry, not Leaf Glide. Not Leaf Glide. This is actually the most useless of all of the sword's parry abilities. But this is Leaf Glide here. That's the one that gets you behind the enemy. It's not really necessary. It's not really useful. Haze 2 and Water Shadow 2. You have to get them all the way up to the highest level. Which is this, both of them have 2 levels, and the reason you want to do that is because the sword, that's where it's made. This is Haze right here, where he blocks as soon as the attack comes, and he knocks the enemy behind him. Now there's a follow-up strike to Haze where you press square, and you'll stab the enemy in behind. They'll do an animation and fall over, or it'll break their guard, and they'll go into the vulnerability state, and you have them in your fucking hands. You have final blow right there or grapple right there. It always happens every single time. It never fails. As long as you do it successfully, you will either knock them down or they will get knocked out of their key every single time. And this is why the sword is so powerful with these parry moves. Also, the reason that it's so powerful is because the parry moves with the sword are the easiest to pull off because they have the sharpest window. The reason I'm saying sharpest window is because it's not about the most open window or the most closed or narrow window, but it's about the one that accurately, as soon as you press the button, that is when it becomes available. So I'll show you that a little bit later, and I'll do it offset on purpose to show you what happens. And I'll also try to parry an enemy with the dual swords and show you how the windows are different. But this is Water Shadow, and this is another one of your more powerful abilities, or the second most powerful counter ability of the sword. And Water Shadow, it's not that you'll be using it as much as Haze, because Haze is a hell of a lot more useful. Water Shadow is used primarily when you have a group of enemies attacking you, and the reason is because with Water Shadow, when you press, what you do is you hold down one and press triangle while you're guarding, and you'll counter their attack and turn them behind you. If you press triangle again after correctly doing it, you'll automatically do a slash across the enemy's back. And you guys have seen me use that against when I fought Hoisin and Yagyu. How they were all like buddy up each other's asses, and I couldn't get any time to attack. Well, what I had to start doing was using Water Shadow over and over again, and every time you use Water Shadow successfully and then press triangle, you have complete iframes. You are protected. So every single time I did that to Hoisin, who had the longer weapon, he had the spear. So every time his spear came in with distance of my Water Shadow and I used it, I pulled him automatically towards me, turned him around like you see in the demonstration here, and then slashed him across the back. And there was nothing Yagyu could do to interrupt it. With Haze, he can interrupt it. Even if I correctly do Haze like this and get him behind me and then press square and do the backstab that I'm going to show you later, I can't follow up on the more powerful part of Haze, which is doing final blow damage and things like that. So these are the two most important abilities that the sword has. And so you'll go into your learn skills, and they are... Water Shadow is... Where are you, baby? Swallow's Wing, Morning Moon, Water Shadow. Here we go. So Water Shadow, you can, as long as you use Kai Pulse Man, which you should automatically get if you're using any sword, any weapon in this game, automatically go for the Kai Pulses, because all they do is it raises your damage for your next attack. So it literally just gives you damage boosts. There's nothing negative to using the Kai Pulse boosters. But the better thing about Kai Pulse Man is that it gives you access to Water Shadow, which, like I said, is the second most powerful of the two counterattack techniques. You want to get Water Shadow level 2, because what this will allow you to do is this. You see that slash across his back? That is what I used to defeat Hoisin and Yagyu, because every time, like I said, every time I did Haze, Yagyu would stick his sword up my ass. But the thing about this is when you use it correctly like that, you have complete iframes. You are protected. So there's nothing he could do to retaliate while you're in that attack animation. And then as soon as you finish it, you'll go into your guard stance or you'll start dodging backward and they won't be able to touch you. And then over here, we got Haze. So Leaf Glide is what you have to unlock. Like I said, Leaf Glide is the least helpful of all of the sword's counter abilities. And if you want to get around opponents, there are actually better ways to do it. I don't really know why Leaf Glide is in there. But you could have, like, Swift Step, for instance. You know what I'm saying? Now you have attack capability. And plus, it looks a hell of a lot cooler, doesn't it? But Leaf Glide isn't really useful. What you want is Haze. Now, when you get access to Haze 2, you'll successfully do Haze and then press square afterward. Did you see that? You see how he fell over like that? That is what you want. They either fall over or you'll hit them and they'll go into the out of breath animation, and then you'll be able to slash them and do a final blow. Okay? So we're going to get into the full I'm going to start demonstrating these abilities. These are the most powerful abilities that the sword has. And there are other attacks the sword has, like quadrisect. For instance, if you're in what's it called, living weapon or sword of discernment. But these are not really necessary, and you're not really going to use them a lot. Even Swallow's Wing isn't that necessary, but it is a good attack to be able to use for a 5th strike in a combo. Sword of Meditation, I would never use this. I think this is just an attack where you want to show off and be a badass, and you can do that. But the problem is that the amazing amount of damage it does is basically useless, because if I do Water Shadow correctly, boom, same amount of damage, I'm completely protected, and I can just keep doing it every time my enemy tries to retaliate against me. Whereas Sword of Meditation, I have to sit, you actually have to go through that walk animation there. You can't cancel it either. You literally have to sit there and go through that walk animation, which you can be hit while doing it, so it's not really good. Night Rain is a waste. It just looks cool. Really, it doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't, do a lot of staggering to your enemy. Tiger Sprint, unfortunately, is not as good either. It looks really cool, but they really just gave Munashige the cool Tiger Sprint, and you kind of have like the Cub Sprint, not the Tiger Sprint, or your Tiger Sprint is shit compared to his. So don't worry about Tiger Sprint. It's a piece of shit. Like I said, the mainstays of the sword are countering. So we're gonna go and deal with this fool here. So the most important thing about this game is learning enemy movements and learning to anticipate what they will do and when they will do it. And that's hard to do if you're just kind of standing in this range. You see how he's kind of doing whatever he wants to do? Well, with enemies in this game, you're usually able to do this. You get a distance, get some distance, and then they will oftentimes do they'll oftentimes do a running attack, and that is perfect. Remember, using the sword is all about countering, so it's all about seeing your enemy's movements before they happen, and that happens in their animations. Sometimes he doesn't cooperate, but basically what I'm about to use is Haze first. And we're going to use the first level of Haze, and I'm going to show you how tight the timing is on this. The sword, like I said, has the tightest timing, and I'll show you immediately how that differs from the dual swords, and it differs from the spear as well. I'll show you in another episode how that differs from the spear. But come on, buddy. Ah! No! Stop fucking me up. By the way, getting hit is just a part of it. It's not always going to work, but it's not because it doesn't work, it's because of my timing. So don't blame the ability, it's me that's fucking up. There. You see that? You see how tight that was? As soon as he goes into it, boom. As soon as he goes into it and he's coming down with his sword, look how tight that is. Now, let me get out the dual swords. Now, I'm pretty sure I have the Shrike. Yeah, I do. I have the Shrike. Watch this. This timing is a little different. See, that would have worked with Haze. Let's see if we can get him to do the stab. See? You see how tight that was? Well, with the dual swords, it's weird how the timing is different. And oh, I shouldn't have done that! Don't kill him! Okay, good. There we go. So that's why I said the sword is definitely the counterattack weapon of this game, because it is the easiest to use, it is the fastest and most responsive in its attacks, and it has two major counterattack abilities that other weapons just don't have, which is Haze and Water Shadow. So we're going to go ahead and complete the rest of Haze on him, and I'm going to show you what happens when you complete Haze and how this opens up so many punishment opportunities, or at least the main punishment opportunity in this game, which is Final Blow. Uh-oh, dancing around. I see you, buddy. Oops. Well, that wasn't supposed to kill him, but but what would have happened is the exact same thing you saw on the video, which was when he falls down, you're able to go into Final Blow. And just to give you a heads up while I'm talking about it, to increase your Final Blow damage, you always want to go into the Kusarigama, and you go into Armor Piercer, which you have to buy Kai Pulse Heaven and Foot Sweep for the Kusarigama to get the Armor Piercer. When you unlock skills like this, they go for all of your samurai weapons. So no matter what, that increases, that Final Blow damage increase is increased for every single weapon I have. Also, you'll go down here, And there's another one, Shadow Strike. So Shadow Strike it increases damage from behind. That will also increase your damage across all of your weapons from behind. So before we were fighting a guy with a sword, and remember how I told you that since the sword is, and I'll repeat it a bunch of times, just bear with me because I'm talking straight out my ass. I haven't written any of this down, so I'm also reminding myself as I'm reminding you. But the best thing about the sword is learning enemy abilities and enemy attack patterns. So it's okay for you to take a second to watch them and see what they do. And hands down, the easiest enemies to fight. I get so happy when somebody has an axe or a hammer because their attack animations are so much longer and so much more involved. You can see everything in what they're about to do, so it makes it a hell of a lot easier to anticipate their attacks. Let's see if we can get him to do that again. Nope. Ah! Wrong timing. Shit! No! Stop! Squilliam, don't kill him. I'm trying to demonstrate things here. I'm gonna use water shadow on him. Knock him behind me. See how tight that is? Amazing. That was me. Too soon. Alright. So you can also use that to get a better position on your enemy if you're like on the edge of something. If you can, stay calm and stay patient, you can see your enemy's attack coming and you can switch places with them. Instead of using like Leaf Glide, you could just use Water Shadow. Get him over there. And remember, when you press triangle, you'll do the follow-up slash. And also remember that follow-up slash gives you iframes. So the enemies will not be able to hit you while you're doing that slash. But as you saw with Haze, to do the extra attack in Haze, come here. Come over here. I'm trying to demonstrate something. Come on. So you see it didn't knock him down. You just swipe him. Extra damage right there. So, and see how much damage I'm doing. I am pretty high level, and these guys are under leveled compared to me. But you can do a crazy amount of damage with these abilities as long as you use them right. You don't have to go into the thing that everybody seems to be doing online, which is to abuse the Kasarigama's attacks and boost up their stats ridiculously because they farm so much. And like I've said, and I'll say again, it really does damage the fun and the technique and the beauty of the fighting in this game when everybody's utilizing really lazy ways to fight. Let me see if I can get two people on me here so I can show you how much safer Haze is to use. Well, not with a Dweller. With Dwellers, you don't want to use any of your techniques, your countering techniques, because they won't be successful. You cannot... If the enemy is not humanoid, then you won't be able to utilize your techniques on them. Dwellers are possibly like the worst fucking enemies in this game. Next to the wheel monks. Oh my god. So you just want to stay out of the way of the Dweller. And I'm going to use Water Shadow to give myself iframes to be protected from anyone else attacking. And I can fight a group of jackasses just using Water Shadow. And then dodging away when I get my opening. See that? Now technically that Dweller took a swipe at me, but because I was in Water Shadow, I was protected. Ugh! Come on, man. Ah, bad timing. Fuck you. Now I'm going to show you that for some reason these counterattacks do not work when it comes to Dwellers, and they don't work when it comes to most other yokai. They do work when it comes to the armored skeleton guys, so don't be afraid to try and use it on them. Their attacks are a little wonky and weird because they're undead, but you can still use it on them. So let's go ahead. Oh, that one was lazy. Come on. Give me a faster strike. Alright, let's try it one more time. Yeah, see, I did it right there. I did the timing right, but I did it again. It's weird. I'll do it a little faster next time. Hold on. Oh, almost got me killed. Yeah, so that timing was technically a little too fast, but it doesn't look like it works on them. And I'll show you, it also doesn't work on the large yokai. But remember, with enemies like this, with a yokai like this, remember I told you to go into the Kusarigama and get the Shadow Strike up to level 3. See how much damage that does from behind? So once again, you don't have to rely on spamming abilities as long as you know the techniques and you know how to use your weapon. I just hope people take that into account before we get to PvP, but I doubt they will. We're probably going to have a lot of people complaining about spammers on PvP, and then I don't know what FromSoft, oops, I don't know what Team Ninja is going to do when that happens. Are they going to like put cooldowns on our skills? Because I would not like to have a cooldown on on Water Shadow or Haze. That would be really, really annoying. Oh, okay, we got that shooter on us. Come here. So I'm gonna go ahead and find a yokai. Yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna go ahead and find a yokai so I can show you what it's like for them and how you want to fight yokai using common yokai fighting techniques. You don't want to attempt to you definitely don't want to attempt to use these attacks on a yokai. Hell, I'll use it on these group of jackasses. So this would seem really scary, and it is. Look at that. They can't hit me. See that? Water Shadow can save your life as long as you use it right. You gotta be careful too. You gotta pick your target, because you can be comboed to death. But normally this is a situation you completely run from, and you don't necessarily have to. That was bad timing. I could have had one of them. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and take a hit. I'm gonna show you that while you can block through an enemy's attack and still do it. Oh shit! Hold on. That jackass with the cannon's about to get me killed. All right. You can block an enemy's attack. Say I get hit. Oh, I did. Oh, that was a different ability. That was a backlash. But you can block through an enemy's attack, especially with a Revenant. Say you get hit with the first slash and you start blocking the others, but it doesn't do backlash. You can actually counter still, even if you get hit, even if you do it wrong initially. That's how trustworthy it is. Look at that. Ah, I thought he was gonna do the third slash. Come on, dude, you can't be mixing it up on me. Oh shit! No, not again! I hate that guy. Alright, we gotta take care of that goon with the cannon. So there's other cool things you can do with the sword. Those are the main abilities of the sword, sure. But the sword does have other cool abilities. So, I showed one of them, which was Heaven Flash, which is a really cool ability. Oh, I'll show it. I guess I might as well. Heaven Flash. Here it is. This here can break guards really fast. So it does a lot of Kai damage, or key damage, whatever you want to say. And what you do is you will... you can do it in an attack combo. I can hit him several times, or I can hit him one time and press forward and X. Be careful, because I've actually ended up dashing off the edge of a into. You know what happened on Umibozu's level? Of course, that motherfucker, that terrible level he's got, pitfalls all over the place. But I've had a Revenant actually dodge. Like, he got hit on the corner and he was going into a falling animation. And you know with Revenant, every single time they go into that falling animation, they dodge away. Well, the problem is with my slash, I knocked him onto the edge where he went into the animation. And as soon as I pressed forward and X to do Heaven Flash, he dodged out of the way and I dodged into the water. So it didn't work out that time. But you can use it from one slash, or you can use it from several. And it is a very powerful move for attacks that happen in low stance. Usually low stance attacks are extremely weak, but Heaven Flash is very strong. And you can also do it at the end of a combo. Oh, not if he blocks. You see that? I actually pressed the combination there. If they block, they will cancel your Heaven Flash. So don't want that to happen. Damn, you don't even have to connect. I didn't know that. We're both learning. So if you like low stance, but you really hate how it doesn't have a lot of damage capability, Heaven Flash can solve that for you. What else do we have? Swift Step. This is more of a I think a show-off move than anything. It doesn't really help, and there aren't a lot of abilities that are necessary, or there aren't a lot of levels where this is necessary. And oftentimes, if you're fighting, say, a Revenant, they'll turn or able to strike them, and they'll end up blocking your attack anyway. So I wouldn't really go with Swift Step. As soon as you grab Heaven Flash, that's all you need to grab. Back Wave, that's the ability I did. If you attack at the right or if the enemy attacks at the right time, you can use Back Wave to kind of knock them backward like that. That's what I did. And apparently, I've never successfully used this, but Tempest is a move where you can basically break the enemy's guard and then knock them down like that. I have never successfully used that. I don't know how the hell did. I really don't understand how to do that attack, but because apparently it's not activated by a button combination. It's activated by you knocking down the enemy's stamina to a certain extent. But then we got Quadrisect. We got Sword of Discernment. Not a very useful move, I have to say. Basically, Sword of Discernment is the same as what is it in the dual swords? There's an attack where you can block and you can poke at the same time. It's not Cherry Blossom, is it? No, it isn't. It's not Water Sword. It's not Windstorm. It's not Demon Thrust. That's what it is. So you're blocking, and you block an enemy's attack, and you can thrust at the same time. And that's what Sword of Discernment is, because you have to be blocking to use it. I have Sword of Meditation? Why? Oh, the other thing is Sword Kai. Okay. And then Sword Kai is pretty interesting, too. I'll show you how to do that. But Sword of Discernment, let's do that. So I'll show you what it's like when we block this jackass's attack over here. If he doesn't go into high stance, I can't block his attack, so I might just have to kill him. Touch you up, creature. Another thing about choosing to use these higher abilities in the game, you have to be patient. And that's another thing that I don't see online often. You're not going to see a lot of patience out of people. And that's why they keep spamming the same attacks over and over and over again. It's successful and it works, and I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's lazy as fuck. And it drains the enjoyment out of the game when I'm sitting here trying to have a great fight with a Revenant and trying to test my skills and become better at the game, and somebody comes in and like, here, let me help you, and they're fucking beating the shit out of the Revenant because they do ridiculous amounts of damage, and they keep using certain abilities that they can spam over and over again. And to be fair, Team Nin just shouldn't allow us to do that sort of thing, but they do. So anyway, let's what am I doing? Fuck out of the way. Let's use Sword of Discernment here. See that? You can block his attack. Oh, I pressed it too soon that time. But one thing to notice, even if I pressed it too soon, did you see how I didn't react to his attack? It literally just gave me the damage. It gave me hyper armor. That's what it did. It was pretty cool. So Sword of Discernment can be useful, but you should not use it to trade damage, because if you know anything about this game, which you probably do, trading damage is not a good idea. Because you need to keep your health. What else can we do? Sword of Salvation. Oh, Sword of Salvation is one of the two mystic arts of the swords. So I guess I should go over the sword mystic arts if I'm talking about sword abilities. Oh, Flash Attack. Flash Attack is an attack that when you're switching weapons, it automatically causes you to do an attack. Performs a quick attack when switching weapons after a 6. I have never done this. I never use Flash Attack with any of the weapons. I'm not I never utilize it, and I never find that I need it. And usually if I'm switching weapons, I'm also switching a mental style because I'll start fighting differently. With the sword, I'll utilize mostly counterattacking and waiting and biding my time. And with dual swords, I'm finding opportunities specifically to debilitate my opponent. And I'll tell you about dual swords probably in the next video, and it'll probably have to be tomorrow. I get off work around the same time, so it'll probably be tomorrow around a little bit after 5. But that's why I don't usually use flash attacks, because when I change weapons, I change mental style too. So it would kind of confuse me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, there's 2 mystic arts for the... No, that's dual swords. There we go. There's 2 mystic arts for the swords. And one of them is Sword of Execution, which increases the amount of damage you do from behind. And Sword of Salvation, which reduces your Kai consumption when you're dodging, as long as your sword is equipped as your main weapon. Now, one thing that I don't like about this is whenever a game writes in its text and its descriptions, it says increases. I want to know how much it increases. Don't tell me it increases. I don't know what that means. Is it 25%? Is it 50%? Is it 10%? Is it 2%? You can't just say increases. You have to explain what that correlates to. So I wish they would do that. But those are the mystic arts of the sword. What was that? Let's not even waste our time with that guy. I think that is pretty much it for the sword, man. And I hope you guys do utilize more of the sword's abilities, because it is definitely worth it. I'm going to take on this group of jackasses again. And this time, victory is mine, as long as I take care of this cannon asshole. No! Victory is mine. I'll show them the strength of the sword, the strength of the blade. Woo! Oh, shit! Oh. Show them all the strength of the blade. Fool! Ah! Damn it! See that? You see what he did? You see how he did the full combo? Remember, I told you, learning combos is important, because I could anticipate that he was automatically going to do that final slash, or that final thrust, because I know the combos of the game. What are you doing? Fool! Stop turning around! The end for you! Come on, pose a threat. Ah! Bad timing. I don't have to rely on the sword's counterattacks, by the way, because there are other abilities, like, for instance, the Lie Quick Strike. Now, it's pronounced EI Quick Strike. Don't call it EI Quick Strike. That's so stupid. Call it the Lie. I know it's an I. I know it's not an L. But Lie sounds cooler, and EI sounds stupid. Ooh. Fools! And that actually, the EI has a... Oh, I just called it the EI. Why the hell did I do that? The Lie has three damage outputs to it. And of course, as you can see, the final output is really devastating. Ah! Of course, we don't have to rely on just the Lie as well, since there are so many more abilities the sword has. And getting close... Do backs the Swallow's Wing to get a little bit of space. Use the speed of low stance. Do you see that move he just did? That was the triangle for axes. That is the one move you want enemies to use the most. It is so predictable. Huh. What are you doing? Why are you breaking benches? What the hell is wrong with you? So he's going in the low stance with his hammer. You'll know low stance with the hammer is signified by them having the hilt higher than the blade. This is mid stance, a basic holding of the axe there. And of course high stance is when they have the axe over their shoulder. What a clown. You're just not worth it. Fool! You're done. Nope. Nope. Come on, bud. Please stop. You're just embarrassing yourself. Dude. Come on, man. Fuck! Stop! Kill you! Cut your leg off. The powers of the blade. The final thing I'll go ahead and show you while we're here is how to deal with yokai. We'll go ahead and take on both these jackasses. Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh god! Okay. They're not playing around. Alright. No, don't go back in. Hey! Pay attention! Okay. Fine, I'll take you on alone. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you that you cannot parry yokai abilities, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, the sword's strongest ability, which of course is the countering, is basically null and void when it comes to fighting yokai, especially yokai like these. And you think it would work, it won't. So we're going to try and get him to do some strikes. Ah! No, not that. Strikes, jackass, strikes. Not that either. Cut you. Don't do the tackle. Don't do the tackle, damn it. So that was the timing window. I actually did it at quite the right time. Let's try it one more time. I gotta make it one more time because these guys do ridiculous amounts of damage. As you can see, some attacks are just not parryable, and especially when it comes to this kind of yokai, you just can't parry it. But that doesn't mean that you can't use the sword to get around his, to utilize various openings. Of course, when you knock his stamina away, go into low stance. Whenever he does that, you want to move forward and go under him. Do not ever try to move backward when they use that ability. This is what happens. It either misses you, or if you try to move to the side, over here, whatever, the fan of that attack is so wide that it will usually hit you. And it does a ridiculous amount of stamina damage, so just don't even bother trying to do that. Oftentimes for this yokai, when you have the sword, the best thing to use is high stance, because they have a lot of punish frames after they do attacks, and they usually only do 2 swipes at any one time. And then if you hit its head, you can knock its horns off like that and cause it to go down automatically. There's one last thing I just remembered. If you like the Lie quick draw, which I'm not really in love with it, but I can utilize it. One of the coolest things you get is one of the skills you can unlock will allow you to instantly go into Lie quick strike or quick draw with a Kai Pulse. So say we attack twice and we get a perfect Kai Pulse. If I hold... There we go. Got it. If I hold both R1, which is pressing this, you can see over there the HUD changes when I hold down R1. If I hold R1 and then press circle, normally you'll put away your sword and go into Lie quick strike or quick draw. But if you do it at a perfect Kai Pulse, it'll make you go into it faster, and you won't have to do the sword put away thing. You'll just automatically do it. Now, when is this safe to do? Only when you knock an enemy's stamina out completely, or you know the enemy has punish frames long enough for you to utilize it. See, if I don't stand behind him, because you know what he'll do. He'll turn right around and do a strike like that. Oh, okay. So I did go ahead and use the fact that his trajectory was a little off there. That was risky. But you can do a really large amount of damage. You see me doing 3,000 on him. Pretty crazy. And I'm already getting more some damage in because I'm hitting him normally. I think I did that 3,000 because I hit him from behind, but that was almost 2,000 normally. There you go, man. It's probably not everything the sword has, but those are the mainstays of using the blade. And I do hope that when people watch this, they do pay attention to it and actually try to use the sword and try to use it correctly. And there you go. There's my little attempt to to stop the harassment, the crazy harassment of NPCs that's going on over the internet, man. It's just, like I said, it's just not fun to play with other people now because that's all they do. They spam the Kusarigama's abilities, and they literally drain all of the fun from the game when they're doing that. So, I mean, come on, guys. Don't you want to have an actual fucking samurai fight? Who the fuck wouldn't want to have a real samurai? Look at this. The fucking samurai duel. This is awesome. Haven't you ever watched any Akira Kurosawa movies or any fucking samurai movie? Like, there must be a reason you're interested in samurais. Like, come on, man. They gave us this awesome fighting, these fighting mechanics for a reason. Use them. Learn them. You'll feel a hell of a lot more accomplished when you win a fight after being able to utilize your abilities. And that's another reason why online you'll see me complain so much about how they don't test your technique. And in this game, they don't. The enemies later on in the game just do a lot of damage and they move around a lot. They don't test your ability to use your stances correctly. They don't test your timing. They don't test your, they don't test your ability to time certain attacks correctly. None of that. You know what I'm saying? You just swing at them until they die, and that's upsetting. Especially when there's the inkling of technique underneath. When they make it just so much easier to utilize laziness when you could be doing this. Now, how much fucking cooler does that seem? Alright, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll probably... I'm going to go over Dual Swords tomorrow. But thanks for tuning in. I love when you guys come and see my stuff. I really appreciate it. You guys make it all worth it, man. I got to tell you, work is no fun. But when I get to play, I get to play. So, see you later. Thanks for tuning in.